Hey everyone, welcome to today's video. So I've been busy running around making a crit build, and I wanted to share it with you because I feel like it might give, a platform for us to share ideas on what y'all's crit builds look like, and just to see what both my crit builds that I've been able to put together actually look like. Now, I will say though, there are different kinds of crit builds, so I know some of you are probably going to have a better variation, or you're going to say, oh, your numbers are so low, how come you don't have this talent? I just wanted to say that the way we build across the board in the game is quite diverse, and that's actually one of the fun parts of it. So this is the build I was able to come up with, from just running through my stash, and I don't know if I should show you guys how much I have. I have a whole bunch of items. But I was able to come up with two variations of crit builds, and I wanted to show them to you guys. And if you're wondering about building a crit build, I just wanted to say that if you do it well, it's actually worth doing. And if you have the pieces, it's actually worth putting together. Now, farming the pieces and whether or not you're going to get them, that's a whole different story. But I can tell you what you need to look out for if you think you're going to be gathering pieces that are probably going to be worth your while sometime down the road. Now, this is an AR crit build. And so the goal for this build is to try to get to 60% critical hit chance and get to, as much critical hit damage as I can possibly get to. And while at the same time maintaining a respectable weapon damage and damage to elites. This is a PvE focused crit build. So I know if you're building a PvP focused crit build, all of these pieces will look very different and you'll be gunning for some other things here and there. Now, granted, I have not finished rolling everything because I'm hoping to get some new pieces, so fingers crossed. All right, that being said, let's get into the build. Let's start out with my mask. This is a Wyvern mask. It's rolled with 6% critical hit chance, and I put 36% damage to elites on there just as a way to kind of test it out. I have a 39% damage to elite mask that is ready to go, and I'm gonna go ahead and test it and see if this is enough damage to elites for my own taste. If not, if I want more health, I have another Wyvern mask here. I'll lose some critical hit chance. I get some health, but I can get damage to elites on it, just to kind of mix up the variation here and there. So I have backup pieces in case, I find something better somewhere else that I would like to change. Now, my other Wyvern piece, and I'll go through the Wyvern pieces first, and I'm going to tell you the reason why, is a Wyvern holster. Holster has devastating, has an offensive mod slot as well. So you're looking for a Wyvern holster that has a talent that you can roll high crit chance, as high as you can get it, and an offensive mod slot. Now, this Wyvern holster is it has 14% critical hit chance. I don't know if I can take it higher to 15 or 15 and a half because I have those rolls on other items and see if I can transfer them. But honestly, I'm still gonna be testing this build, but I do like where I have it. And then once I find it to where I'm satisfied, then I'll commit and min-max the whole thing as much as I possibly can. Wyvern knee pads have 6.5% crit chance, damage to elites. All I have to do is take like 8 or 9% crit chance and roll on it. I have some knee pads that, have some high. This is the one I have that's the highest currently, but I've had one that had 9% crit chance, and it was like one of those Negotiator's Dilemma. No. True Patriot, that had it, but I gave that one away. So yeah, if I'm ready, I can get up to 8% crit chance here. And then these are my Wyvern pieces. Now, this build has a second variation that I'm making with Douglas and Harding, and I intend on putting that on a second video to show you guys. But this build actually hinges on 3 different items. Your backpack, which has to be really solid and come with the required rolls that you want it to. Your gloves, which also has to be solid and come with the required rolls you want it to. And then your chest piece, which also has to be solid and come with the items that you want it to. Now, for some people, these 3 items might not be a problem, and the Wyvern pieces might be where the puzzle, is actually hard for them to fit in, because the Wyvern pieces gives you 7% crit damage for 1 piece, 15% drone skill power, which is not necessarily something a lot of people want to be using, and then 10% critical hit chance. Now, if you're doing a PvP version, then some people are able to take some stats and get some electronics and stuff, roll some skill haste, roll some extra drone skill power to be able to use maybe a defender drone. But in my case, I'm just using a simple chem launcher and a hive because I will be running the raid with this build quite frequently, except maybe when I get to Buddy and Lucy, then I'll switch to my unbreakable build that I use for that. Whenever I'm running Lucy, I have a specific build to run the Lucy side of that sequence. And then another thing too that I think is, probably going to be very critical too is looking at the nature of the backpacks and all that. Now, Wyvern does have a backpack, but it is almost impossible to get yourself a good Wyvern backpack. I mean, it is literally the biggest find of the century if you can find yourself a Wyvern backpack. Plus, they almost always roll utility mods. Let me show you a Wyvern backpack here. I have good ones. Not great, but good. I would say, you can use them. I have the Pago style backpack, which is supposedly like, where is it? It's not on this character. I have a bunch of those Pago style backpacks, which are supposed to be the most difficult ones to get. I have this Wyvern backpack. It's got hard hitting. It's got 7% crit chance. It's got weapon damage. I could manage a low crit chance roll and do some really cool stuff, but then I'm stuck with the utility mod, which loses 5% weapon damage. So if I decide to actually swap here, I think I'm actually in a decent place to go, 3 Wyvern using the backpack method, and then, freeing up myself with a holster, and then maybe running like a Hilleguard holster here, because I have 3 Wyvern. That Hilleguard holster is going to give me more health, and is also going to give me that it's going to replace that extra 5% weapon damage that I'm going to be missing from not having a an offensive mod slot. So that's another way that you can go. So the pieces of the puzzle are very unique and complex in how you want to fit them as well. And so my gloves I'm using, and this is the preference that you want to use, the climbing gloves for Alp Summit. These gloves allow for you to have an offensive attribute where you can roll double-digit percentage weapon damage of your choice. You can roll talent like Clutch, which is very critical for a skill power for a critical hit chance build, and also gives you an offensive mod slot. So the gloves alone can carry up to 16% weapon damage. If you look at it, this is 10 plus 4 plus 5.5. That's 15.5 weapon damage. If this was 11%, that would be 16.5. And if this was like a 5% and then 0.5, that would be pushing close to 17% on just your gloves. So that's why you want to use a pair of gloves like this. Now, there are critical hit chance builds that leverage 2 Heraldi, which will mean that you have to use the Heraldi gloves as one of your items and then an Heraldi holster to get headshot damage, and then go Wyvern on the mask, Wyvern on the knee pads, and Wyvern on the backpack. And then preferably, if because it's an AR crit chance build, your chest piece is where you're going to have to highlight a lot of things. You're going to have to look for chest pieces that do some good work. I have this chest piece. I don't know where I got it from. It's a Fenris, Stridsvat, or whatever you call it. I don't know what the language is. Looks like a Nordic language. And it has 3% crit damage, which I can always change to crit chance and get more crit chance. And I'll show you my stats. And then it has 9.5% weapon damage, which I'm kind of, contemplating. Should I go for that 15% or 12% cap weapon damage, or should I go for more critical hit chance and get my maximum critical hit chance as quickly as I can? And it's got Berserk and it's got Vital. Vital gives me 20% of my health. Very, very critical for this build. And then I have an offensive mod here for assault rifle damage. Now let's look at the stat sheets and see exactly where I am and where I would like to be. I have 56.5% crit chance. I have 46% crit damage. I have 50% headshot damage, and I have 74% damage to elites if I'm using my submachine gun. But if I'm using my assault rifle, I get 79% damage to elites. I get 47% crit chance and then 36% crit damage because my mods are slightly different. Now I will have to mod this differently, and I'll be able to leverage some more crit damage as well on my assault rifle. Now, I do not really intend on running my P416 with this build, but I just put it out there because I wanted everybody to be able to say, okay, this is probably accessible for me. Now, some people might say, well, I can't get a custom P416 that's going to roll as high as this. And that's understandable. There are alternatives that you can use to get your P416 style or type of damage. You can use an AK, which gives you, at this point, your AKs are going to be giving you way more damage. But at that point, you might want to change your specialization to use something like your sharpshooter specialization, which is going to give you a little bit more weapon stability, and so increasing your weapon handling, thereby increasing your accuracy, or as an effect increasing your accuracy so that you can land more shots. If you don't like the AK and you say, well, sure, my stability is going to be increased, but my accuracy might not be all that, then you can always subscribe to the ACRE. If you have one that has, you know, Allegro, like this one says 5%, I have strained 5% crit damage for every 10% of my armor that's depleted. So I'm getting crit damage and berserk if I use this, and then I can roll Allegro. So these are your options to be able to run a crit build, and I would say run an SMG as well. Now this SMG, I just like slapped it on. I mean, I'm still probably going to go roll another talent here in order for me to be able to, you know, use this SMG as just kind of a healing machine. That's all it does. It restores, you know, your health, and it's so fast. And and this gives me another 14.5% critical hit chance. So I'm not necessarily too worried about, you know, meeting that 60% cap, because this actually does a very decent amount of damage by itself, but at the same time I use it to kind of heal myself. So when it comes to my skills, I could substitute my chem launcher for a drone or whatever it is I want to use. Since I'm using survivalist, I could go with the survivalist seeker mine if I wanted to do that, and that'd be maybe better for me. Or I can go with a firefly, burn, you know, just blind a bunch of NPCs and then, you know, start, you know, railing on them. So this is my version 1 of my Wyvern style critical hit AR crit chance build. I can make it better. I have the pieces to make it better, but I just wanted to show you guys that there are different ways to actually make it work. And like I said, I don't intend on using my P416. I do intend on using the Eagle Bearer, because there's no need to not leverage an extra 4, almost 5,000, you know, more base damage in order to do. But if you don't have an Eagle Bearer yet, and you don't have a P416, there are multiple options that you can use to still have fun and enjoy this very, very good build. As crazy as it sounds, as, you know, slightly complicated as it is to build in some cases, I would just encourage you to start, you know, gathering the pieces, build whatever you feel is good for you, and don't be in a hurry to get everything min-max. That's one of the things about min-maxing your gear. It's a journey. You know, 1 minute you're going to get an item, the next minute you're going to get another item that's probably going to be better. Look around, check the, you know, those chests in the open world, farm missions, farm the raid discovery, and these are going to be able to help you gather the items that you need, and hopefully you're able to put together a crit chance build that's of your own taste and your own liking. Anyways, that's all I have for today. Thank you very much for your time and your audience. If the video was helpful for you and you got an idea how to do a crit build, let me hear that in the comment section. If you guys have any ideas that you want to throw out there, like the idea of, you know, should I go with that Pago style backpack and go with the Hilligard holster to get more health and get that extra at least 10% weapon damage on those holsters in order to be able to leverage this build and make it like super powerful, because it pretty much equates to the same thing, just giving me that benefit of having more health using that Hilligard holster. I can do that, and then I can, you know, make a video as well and just kind of talk about the process of getting that those stats as well. All right, that's all I have for tonight. Thank you very much for your time and audience once again, and I guess I'll see you in the next video. Peace.